And she's joining me right now, a woman who has made so much history over the last 12 months. I can't even list every single accomplishment that she's had, from an incredible match with Becky Lynch in Las Vegas that I was privileged to see in person, or a tag team match rather, and also winning the first ever Women's Intercontinental Championship. And she will be here in Houston at the Toyota Center on July the 21st. It is the one and only Lyra Valkyria. Lyra, how are you?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Well, you know what? WrestleMania this year obviously was a huge spectacle in Las Vegas. And down here in Houston, I get to work with the incredible Booker T at Reality of Wrestling. And I remember him telling me about his first WrestleMania moment. He's about to walk through the curtain. The Undertaker stops him and says, just take in that moment. This is your first Mania. Just take it all in. Were you
Mhm.
able to do the same? Were you able to take in that incredible moment that you had at WrestleMania?
I was. I have this really picture perfect memory of turning around to face the crowd for the first time and the smoke clearing and just seeing every single face in that massive, massive arena, standing up on that huge ramp. It really is what everyone dreams of when they watch WrestleMania, when they watch Raw every week. It was a dream come true.
It is an incredible sight to see, and I think WrestleMania obviously looks so great on television. But when you see that stage and then to stand on that stage and see what seems like an endless amount of people, I was looking around that stadium the entire time, wondering how many people are here. It just looked like an endless sea of them. Let me ask you this: does that help or hurt your nerves of the moment?
I think it helps them. Anytime I've done a massive show like that, you always think that you're going to get lost looking at the sea, but when you're standing up there, it's actually really strange that you can almost make out every single face if you focus on them. So it's massive, but it's also like it's just a really strange feeling.
I can only imagine. And then, did you, after the match was over, and maybe you got some rest, you got some recovery, did you go back and watch it just to kind of be able to take it in from the fans' perspective?
Um, yes, but nothing will ever change. Like I watched it once and that's it. I'll never watch it again because I wanted to live in my memory the way it happened for me.
Absolutely. Now, you're going to be here in Houston as a part of Monday Night Raw. You had an incredible run at NXT, winning that NXT Women's Championship. You were so great, and then you come to Monday Night Raw. How tough is the transition from NXT to main roster? You know, you've seen some people come in and do it successfully. You've seen others maybe not make the full transition from the Performance Center crowd and then be able to do it in front of a different, 18, 20,000 every single night. Did you find the transition more difficult or easier than you expected?
Honestly, easier than I expected because NXT were at the same venue every week. I was training at the same time every single day. It was very routine. Whereas Monday Night Raw, it's like, oh, this is what I always thought the WWE would be like. It was traveling every week. There's chaos all the time, and you have to just go with everything and like hit the ground running. There's a lot of like, oh, out of the frying pan into the fire moments, and I don't know. I feel like I kind of thrive and love that, like the chaos. So it's different, but I feel like it suits me.
Well, and also I think that NXT crowd at the Performance Center they're so much fun, and they're as much a part of the show as the wrestlers and the performers themselves. But do you think that sometimes wrestling in front of that same crowd, they become so part of it, they know your character so well that they're always there for you, as opposed to being on the road, you've got to win over that crowd who's completely different, maybe seeing you for the first time in every single city.
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to wrestling in front of the same crowd each week with NXT, but I'm always very grateful for that crowd. I find the like a smaller crowd can in some ways be a lot more intimidating than a sea of thousands of people. But I always have that NXT crowd to thank for starting what has become my entrance. That the woo chants and everything that people do, it started in NXT. So it can be very special in NXT because of the small, very connected group that you feel like you're building something with them, with the same people that come back every week.
Yeah, no, the NXT crowd is so much fun. And then, being able to be here on the road again here in Houston on July the 21st. Now, when you are coming up this weekend in Evolution, the first one was an incredible show. I main
Mm.
evented Ronda Rousey, Nikki Bella. I remember watching that show from top to bottom. And back then, the women's division was incredible. And now it seems as though, and Booker and I talk about this on our show, that the women's division and roster in NXT, Raw, and SmackDown is probably the most compelling, competitive, and incredible division in all of professional wrestling, not just in the WWE. Do you all feel that in the locker room that y'all are just doing something so special?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's about time we got our evolution too. But like even just look at WrestleMania. I'll say it till the cows come home. Like the women's triple threat, Bianca, Rhea, and Io. Like that was in my mind one of the best women's matches, the best matches that I've ever seen. It was incredible. So off the back of that, we have like a massive matchup with Rhea and Io. I've got my rematch for my title that will return to me with Becky and Bailey. But it's so exciting just looking at where women's wrestling was back then. You had an incredible match with Charlotte and Becky, the last woman standing match. I remember the Tony Storm and Io was the Mae Young Classic finale. We have so much more to come now. Like we've got all these new stars that have come up from NXT since. It's just a really exciting time for the women right now. So I really feel like that this show is going to just blow it all out of the water.
I mean, yourself, Julia, Stephanie Valkyria, Roxanne Perez, of course, all coming from NXT in the last year or so, have just added to the depth of the roster. Now, Evolution too, because when you talk about what really led to that first Evolution, it was the four horsewomen of NXT in a lot of ways, right? Sasha Banks,
Yeah.
Charlotte, Becky, and Bailey. And now you find yourself in this Evolution too with two of those women. Becky, obviously a fellow countryman of yours, who I know was a huge inspiration for you at the time, and Bailey, who I think Bailey is probably, if not one of the most underrated women's wrestlers of all time, just because, I mean, she gets her flowers. Trust me, she gets her due. But she is so great at every piece of the game, from the entrance to the character to the promo to the in ring work, putting together the match. She's so phenomenal. So you're finding yourself in there with both of those women. It has to be a little bit of a pinch me moment for Evolution, too.
No, it really is. I say it all the time, but it feels like every week I say, "Oh, this is my biggest match. This is my biggest match." I said it when I was wrestling Bailey for the first time for the Intercontinental Championship, and then Becky was my biggest match. Now I've got the both of them at the same time, and if I could go back and show 2017 me, when I was training, the match graphic even, and go like, "This is what's in your future." I would have never believed it. Like taking on the two of them and in just a few days time, it's really like mind blowing.
Yeah, and when you see everyone who's going to be a part of that event, it's so special. It's so special to see. Trish Stratus is back against Tiffany Stratton, Jade and Naomi, Jade Cargill, who's a specimen in her own right. You have Nikki Bella coming back as well. Now for you, here's an interesting question. So I've heard you describe yourself at one point as like the person who, if you were going to go try something new, you had to bring a friend along with you. Maybe you were the quiet
Yeah.
friend, and then you come into professional wrestling, and you have to be larger than life. Booker once said when he was in WCW, he worked on being the best wrestler he could be. But when he got to WWE, he started to try to be the best entertainer that he can be. You do all the training, in the performance center back at your first school in Ireland, and then you get to the WWE and you realize I got to not just be great inside that 20 by 20, I got to be great on the mics, in these interviews right here, on the backstages, the pre-tapes, the promos, everything. What has been that transition from you, from mindset wise, from being the best in-ring wrestler to being the best overall entertainer?
Ooh, that's I could I don't like I'll always consider myself a work in progress, but
Sure. Of
I feel like I focus a lot on the in ring. It's my pride and joy. It's my
course.
it's everything I love, and it's the biggest controllable. Um, but like I've absolutely loved getting into the ring and taking a microphone. It's I haven't gotten to do that. I've gotten to really show a lot more of who I am on the mic since coming to Monday Night Raw. Honestly, in the last few months since Mania, And I feel like I have a lot more to say and a lot more to show, and I always did. Um, and it's cool now to get that chance. So I just can say that there's a whole lot more to come and to show.
Well, I think this program that you've been in with Becky, obviously Becky's so great on the microphone, and the emotions that y'all been able to show out there in the ring, all in the segments, in the verbal back and forth, but even the physicality of it. I can tell that the two of you kind of bring out a different side of one another in some respects.
Yeah, there's a lot of real emotions that we can channel and bring out there when we get in the ring together. So that's always good.
Now, when you think about your character of Lyra Valkyria, no one knows who you are better than yourself, right? And you go out there and you being your version of yourself with the volume turned way up. How much conversations do you have with the production staff, with commentary, to make sure that your character, the version of Lyra that you want, comes through?
Honestly, not a whole lot. Like speak to commentary sometimes, but a lot of the time I'm just trying to be genuine and be me when I go through the curtain. Um, and that's what's worked for me so far, and that I hope continues to work for me.
No, absolutely. You will be here in Houston on July the 21st at the Toyota Centers. Tickets are still available. You know, the city of Houston, greater Houston, population wise, is like 7+ million. Similar, I think, population to the island of Ireland. Similar populations there, but it's one city in this massive state of Texas. What do you look forward to? Do you like going when you're on the road? Do you have time? I know sometimes y'all are in and out of the city in the same day, but do you have time to kind of take in some of each city that you go to? You know, like you're going to be here in Houston.
Yeah, I've been Texas a few times. I always remember the food is great,
Food is
so
great.
looking forward to having some more of that there. Um, it's really cool that reality of wrestling is there. Like you said, Booker. I know Roxanne has trained a lot there, and look at everything she's done. So I would love to see more of the wrestling scene in Texas and the food.
The food and the wrestling is two things that we do well, along with football. And you know what, Lyra, I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said every match that you've had seems like the next biggest match of your career. And what you've been able to accomplish in this last year plus has been nothing short of amazing. You'll go down in the history books as the first women's intercontinental champion in history, a dual champion. You had that WrestleMania moment, evolution, Houston. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger for Lyra Valkyria, and I can't wait to see one day. I will be there. I'm saying it right now. I'll be sitting in the audience to see the Hall of Fame induction down the road whenever that time comes, because you're well on your way to it. And I appreciate you taking the time to join me today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for talking to me.
Have a good one, Lyra. Thank
Thank
you all.
you.